everything's alright. Alright. Hey, it's Christmas. Oh, it's Christmas time. Listen, it's a time of giving the love of Christ to all men. It's time for peaceful expression. This special time of the year. Christmas, y'all. Merry Christmas. Everything's alright. Everything is alright. I'm so glad it's Christmas. Oh, it's Christmas time.
Hello, everyone. God bless all of you. Happy Sunday. We certainly thank God for you. Amen. And listen, welcome home. Man, I have a treat for you today. I'm going to do a reflection of 2020. Normally, I'm an introverted person. I've changed a lot through the years. I'm moving towards extroverted. But here's something that I want to do is actually share with you my heart for 2020. I really want you to hear some of the things I went through. I mean, this has had been a challenging year. I mean, you had ups and downs. We had the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly. I mean, it's been a lot. It's been a lot for all of us. And I just want to reflect a little bit for 2020 and to just share with you again what I've went through. And this is the last Sunday before Christmas. And I am really looking forward to Christmas. Biblically wise, this is not the time frame when Jesus Christ was born. However, we've all celebrated, or we celebrate December the 25th as the birth of Christ. So it's not as much as the presence, but it is the gift that God has given us, which is his son, Jesus Christ. And reflecting back on 2020 is really making me appreciate this Christmas more than anything. Now, am I looking forward to some gifts? Yes. But again, the biggest gift is me celebrating Christ, that God has given us this wonderful gift, his son. And that's what I'm truly celebrating because, man, again, this year has been a challenging year. It's been a rewarding year. It's been an emotional year. It's been a physical year. It's been a spiritual year. I mean, all the above that I personally went through. And I'm sure many of you have went through it as well. I mean, even financially, some of you have had some challenges. And I just want to take a moment to reflect what I've been going through. 2020 has been more for me, some emotional things as well as some physical, some spiritual as well. So again, it's been, we went through a whole lot this year. COVID-19, some unethical events that took place, some challenges dealing with racism. Let me tell you, it's been a lot. This past election, it's been a lot that we went through. So I just want to take some time to reflect back. But for me, in order to appreciate, you to understand and appreciate why I'm so excited for Christmas to come and to give God thanks for his son, man, I got to go back to 2019. And the reason I'm going back to 2019, so you can understand a lot of stuff I've went through to get to this point here. And again, I'm sure a lot of you went through a lot of things as well. I mean, we're not quite finished with 2020, but again, I thank God for sending his son, giving me the victory in 2020. And I know in 2021, I'm going to have even more victories. But it started in 2019 when I began to minister towards the beginning of 2019. But the message that God has placed in my spirit was success. And I ministered, all the way to 2019, different sermons dealing with success in your business, success in your relationships, success in your health, success in your career, success in your business. Everything that you do, that you'll be successful. And I really hit on that. And I was looking at the church as well. I said, the church is very successful in touching lives. We're really successful in changing people's lives. And it was like majority of what we were taking in financially wise through donations, man, we were sending it out of helping people's lives, families' lives, the community. We were doing that. And I still believe that's what we should do. And it was impacting the community. And it was tremendous, a lot of things that we were doing and feeding the hungry. And I'm talking about some real personal things that was changing families' lives. And we were doing it definitely by faith of what God was telling us to do. And in that, I was telling people, listen, in 2019, what I believe God is saying for us to prepare, really prepare for 2020, because I know there was going to be great success for 2020. And I was telling people, listen, we had different programs of teaching people how to budget. We're teaching people how to, if they wanted to start a business, how to start a business. We had programs of mentally preparing people to start their own business. And once you start, how to move it forward. Just our personal selves. And we talked about getting healthier. At the beginning of 2019, we went on a Daniel's fast. Make sure spiritually you intact, make sure healthy you intact. And we really hit on that. And we did something quite different in 2019. We actually went on Daniel's fast twice. We normally do it just once, but we went on it at the beginning of the year and towards the end of the year. And again, what I felt what God was telling me was being prepared. Prepare yourself for the future. Prepare yourself what God was going to do. And I had no idea that God was going to allow this COVID-19 to take place. But at the same time, again, I was telling everybody, listen, prepare financially, spiritually, physically, in your relationships. Just really prepare, because we will be successful. And then the process of that, God had placed into my spirit to do more ministry, but at the same time, tighten the belt up financially. In other words, do more ministry, but yet at the same time start saving financially and doing ministry different to the point that we change lives. So here it is in 2019. I'm preparing because I believe God dropped in my spirit. It's either we were going to build a new church in 2020 or we was going to buy a new church, because where we're at, we needed more room. We needed more room to minister to people. We needed more room to touch people's lives. We needed more room. Downstairs in the basement of our church, we had a children's ministry, a babies ministry, and we didn't have room. And upstairs, the services was awesome. We really needed room to expand. So again, God was placing my heart to prepare, and preparing financially, physically, mentally. And all around of our life, it was like God was saying, prepare. And every message I was sharing with the people, be successful, prepare, prepare, prepare. Well, lo and behold, about mid part of the year, what had happened was I saw this church. It was like, wow, this. It was beautiful. It was up for sale. And I was like, man, this would really help us in what we're going to do. So with that being said, man, I looked at this and I was praying and said, God, is this the direction you want us to go? Is this what you want us to do? And again, remind you, it's the 2019. And it was like, man, I felt in my spirit, man, this was our church. This is how we was going to expand. This is how we were going to touch more lives. This is how we was going to do outreach. And man, I felt it, man. So I called the realtor up and I said, listen, I really like to see inside this church. And I just want to see. And when I got there, one of the first things I saw in the sanctuary was, it was a podium. Lo and behold, it was a beautiful podium, but it was a podium that I made for that church when they first started moving into that church. And I was like, wow. And I totally forgot, but man, when I saw that, and I took it as, man, that's a sign. Because the church that we're in now, I actually helped the church that had it before us. I helped them get the chairs in that church, and I took it. Hey, God's showing me again. So I went back to the membership, and I said, you know what? And one thing I always had in my heart was not to make it a burden to the members. If I, having all these offerings and whatnot, I was never into that. To me, ministry was, and it still is to make it lighter or take the burden off people, not put the burden on them. And sometimes people have programs and it's always asked, give this offering, give that offering. Now, I was never into that. Again, for me was, make it that we can touch lives and not be a burden. So here it is. I'm seeing what God is speaking to my heart and the ministry that we're doing and how we're growing and changing people's lives. But yet we had to tighten up our belt to save. And man, when I saw this church, I was like, wow. So what I did, I went in, I had the realtor to show me around the place, and man, it felt like home. It really did. So I'm looking at there, and I'm seeing, the vision coming to pass, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, wow, God, you're so awesome. I mean, it's beautiful. So the things that was taking place was, again, when we were doing ministry, most of our finances, we were putting it back out into the community. Again, rightfully so. I think that's what ministry should do. But yet, we needed some finance to buy that church. So I'm like, okay, God, what do we do? Not slow down, but increase outreach. But yet at the same time, we start, saving more money. So we were real creative and inventive of how the programs we were setting up. We wanted to continue to feed the hungry. We wanted to do more outreach, but just tighten up the belt so we can start saving for the. And listen, when I went into that church, I told the realtor, I said, I'll be honest with you, and I love this place, and I think it's ours. I said, but give me 3 months, and we'll be in a position to actually buy the church. So man, we went on the grind. The church as a whole, I explained to them the vision. I said, listen, this is the vision, what I believe God has placed into my spirit, and we're going forward, which I believe that we will have that church as well as have the church that we have. It probably be 2 locations, 1 church. I'm like, wow, this is what I believe is in my heart. I know a lot of people didn't quite see that, but I'm like, I believe. I said, we'll see what happens. So I told the realtor, I said, this is our place. And he said, hey, sounds good, Dave. And I said, give me 3 months. So we started working on that. I even wrote up a proposal. I wrote up a business plan. I wrote up an executive summary of what we'll be doing. I sent that to the city council of the place that we saw the church. I didn't get any response, but at the same time, man, I'm moving forward, man. And I got some contractors there. Well, first, I went through the whole place several times, and I kind of estimated how much it would have cost, because there was a lot of work that needed to be done at that church. It was a beautiful church, but at the same time, to bring it up to standards of 21st century, there was a lot of work that needed to be done. It was a daycare center I want to bring up and do. It was outreach. It was a trade. People learn different skills. I saw this thing, and man, we're working hard. I even asked the jurisdiction to help us out. Even Bishop Allen, he said, yeah, we definitely praying for you. So we were working on this, and I had different contractors as time went on. I had different contractors come out there. I mean, for the roofing, the electrical, and I knew the whole church needed revamping with the electrical. I checked the plumbing out. I knew that needed to be revamped. The heating system, the cooling system, I knew that needed revamp. I know that it needed, it was like two buildings connected. And I know one of it needed a new roof in the middle part that connected the whole thing. But yet I saw the whole vision. I was like, wow. I mean, it was days I would leave from work and drive right over there, and I'll just look at this, and I'm like, God, look at you. This is powerful. This is awesome. And my whole heart and time was being spent into that, because I saw the vision coming to pass. And every month I would call the realtor up and say, listen, we're getting closer and closer to what I believe we needed to save and to raise. And even my personal self, I was thinking, my wife and I would say, I was planning. I said, you know what, if I start budgeting even more tighter and do some things, I can probably start, saving at least $1,000 a week going towards ministry. And that wasn't nothing for us because my wife and I, we always gave to the ministry. I'm thinking, yeah, this is doable. So, I'm looking at this. I'm saying, it's going to cost probably about $300,000 to remodel this whole church. But even at the same time, I can probably cut some costs because I can do a lot of this stuff, and I can get some people to help me out. I can show the members how we can even save more money. So in the process of all this, we're raising funds. We're still doing outreach, and I'm making my monthly calls. And one month I called, and there was no answer. The realtor, I left a message. He didn't reply back, and then I called several more times, and he finally answered. He said, "Listen, Dave," he said, I know you want the church. However, there's a group of people who's going to want to pay for this church in cash. I'm like, what? My mind, heart's like, well, wait a minute. We want this church. He said, yeah, but this is an investor from out of town. He saw this and he wants to buy it and he wants to pay cash. I'm like, listen, man, this is our church. And you know how us church folks do. We claim it by faith. We speak it by faith. So I'm like, whatever, I'm still moving forward with this, what I believe God placed into my spirit. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to even increase more of my offerings. I'm going to give more, and I'm going to work harder in planning of this thing come to pass. So, even got to the point that, and I called him again, later on, like a couple of weeks after that. He said, listen, Dave, the church is sold. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, another church actually brought it. I'm like, man, I'll be honest with you. It was a blow to me. It like took the wind out of me. It's like I couldn't breathe. I was like, what? This was like mid of 2019, going to the latter part of 2019, and he hit me with like a ton of bricks. And I'll be honest with you. It took about a month and a half for me to recover because I was like, wow, I'm living God's word. I'm preaching his word. I'm working his word. It was like, and my faith level had jumped. Like it was up there, and I was trusting and believing. And then I heard this noise or this word that church, man, it was sold. I was like, wow, are you serious? I know for some of you, like, man, that ain't nothing. But see, majority of my life was doing ministry. I didn't grow up in the church, but when I met my wife, she went to church. She grew up in the church, and I started going to church. So actually, from age 21, man, I started going to church. You know how old I'm now? I'm 57. Okay, but here's the thing, my whole life was like, helping change people's lives. And it was like I was on the increase of touching more lives, changing people's lives. And I saw that church, not to say, okay, we have this church, but actually do more ministry. And that was like, it was like taken away. And I was like, man, God, what's that about? And again, it was like I was hitting the gut. I couldn't even breathe. It was like, wow. I was like, man, and I spoke it up to the people by faith. It's ours. And then now it's not. But here it is, we moving into 2020, but yet at the same time, I said, okay, how believers go, we say, okay, maybe God has something better for us. So I'm still moving forward with that, but yet at the same time, man, that's still nudging at me. Okay, it was like, you know what I'm saying? Because there's other things, buildings I started seeing, man, it didn't even compare. I'm like, wow. But all of a sudden, COVID-19 hit. I'm like, man, didn't expect this, but yet I kept preaching to everyone about success, preaching to everyone about preparing, but I was not prepared for this, what's about to happen to us when COVID-19 hit in March. And man, we closed the church up. In fact, I mean, the building itself, we didn't close the ministry, but the building itself, here it is, man, we, our last service was, well, I think it was the last Sunday of March, and that was it. But watch this. And this is why why I'm so appreciative of God. And I'm gonna tell you even more, but I'm appreciative of God, what he did. I mean, it's like, here we close the doors up, but yet we still had to pay bills. Okay, now watch this. And majority of the people who are giving at that time, they stopped. Okay, okay, they have issues too. They had to pay their bills, and I get that. But here it is. I'm like, okay, God, what do we do? But at the same time, see, in 2019, which I thought was preparing for this new facility or building a new facility, God was actually preparing me and preparing our church to survive in 2020. Okay. I didn't see it at that point. How many times in life? Well, listen, I'm going to testify this. Yeah, I was hurt. I was mad because we didn't get that church. But yet, at the same time, God was working on my behalf, the church behalf, and I didn't see it. Okay, at that point. But see, I see it now. So here it is in 2020, man, we didn't skip a beat because we prepared in 2019 for 2020. And let me tell you something, man, that's awesome. It's not a burden, you know what I'm saying? Because here, watch this. And my wife and I, we've done this many of times. We did it in the past. See, if it came to the ministry, because something my wife told me a long time ago when we first started ministry, she said, if you take care of ministry, God will take care of us. And I'm talking about financially wise, spiritually wise, but financially was huge. It was like my wife said that, and it's always been in my heart. So if we were, tight for money in the ministry, yeah, my wife and I, we would have kicked in. We would have paid any bill that needed to be paid. We would have done that without blinking an eye, because God has blessed us. So here it is in 2020, man. We we didn't miss a beat because we prepared in 2019. So here, I'm reflecting back, man. This is why I believe God is so awesome. Yeah, did I want that church? Sure, but God saw a bigger picture. So here it is now in 2020, and so it's everything. Ministry was different. Okay, ministry is different. Like you see me right here. I'm in my home, and I'm ministering to all of you the goodness of God and being faithful. So here it is in 2020, man. We stopped going to the physical church in March. So now I'm at home, and it's kind of like, wow. And think for a moment. I mean, really reflect on this. Since I was 21, I've always, since I started going to the church, man, I've been going to church. I'm talking about 2-3 times out the week, Bible study, Sunday. When I first started going to church, I was in the choir rehearsal. I was cleaning the church. If there was repairs, I was, fixing the church. And this is before we even started ministry. I'm talking about, I was so dedicated because God had changed my life. And I was dedicated to the church I was going to. And God he was so wonderful. He placed my wife and I, my whole family, under some powerful ministries. Some life-changing ministries. Okay. So I was like fully dedicated. Even out before I even started going to church out in the world, doing my thing, I was always dedicated. When I put my heart into something, I gave it all. So here it is. I'm at 21, 22, and, all through my life, man, I've been going to church. So now we here in 2020, it's like, man, we're not going to the physical church building. I'm like, man, this is quite different. All these years I've been going, and all of a sudden it stopped. So that was an adjustment. But here's the thing. Okay, as time went on, I was like, man, this is pretty good. Okay, I'm not, because listen, from my church to my house, it takes like 40-45 minutes. And it's a drive, so it's a little journey. Okay, so it's like, man, I'm not driving. I'm not going through all that traffic. So I'm home now. And like, I was like, man, I have time. Okay. I have some time here. And it was some adjustments that I had to make. And, for me, I like to be busy doing stuff. So now I'm doing projects around the house. And, that's feeling good. Some projects I should have did a long time ago. I'm accomplishing, and I'm finishing those projects. Some personal projects that I had to work on myself, and I'm working on that, and that takes time. So I'm improving, myself mentally, physically. I'm financially. I'm working on it. I'm like, man, this feels good. So again, it's man, I have time to do stuff, and it was like, wow. So it's an adjustment. And again, I'll be honest with you, man, I'm feeling good. I have all this time. My prayer time has increased, my reading time has increased. I'm like, wow, this is like, I'm enjoying it. Okay. And even to the point of, see, when you pastoring, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of people almost at one time. So here it is now. You know, my counseling has dramatically slowed down. It's like, wow, I have time, and I have time to really spend time with God even more. I'm talking about more. I mean, it's like, wow, I am truly, truly enjoying this time. And I know with COVID-19, a lot of you were stressed out or whatnot. For me, it was like totally different. It was like peace. Okay, it was like, wow, because I never had fear with COVID-19, and still don't, because I'm a believer that God will protect me and and guide me. So here it is again. I have this time. I'm like, wow. So as months begin to go past, I'm enjoying this more and more. And I was like, well, man, maybe this is my time to retire. Okay, I'm like, wow, 'cause I'm really enjoying this. I mean, like, wow. But yet at the same time, God, He was ministering to me, and it was before Bishop Allen had passed. I gave him a call, and I said, Bishop, I really need to. I called Elder Freeman, and I was like, I really need to talk to Bishop. I really need some wisdom. I really need some insight on my next step. And this is why, let me tell you, I love Bishop Allen so much, because he took time to talk to me. And it was like, we set the time up, and I talked to him, and I called him and told him, I said, listen, I like to get some more insight of opening the church back up again. But really in my heart, it was like, I wanted to tell him, you know, this is my final steps of retiring. I'm about to retire from ministry itself. So I'm talking to him, and as to what steps do I need to take to reopen the church safely. And he's telling me these great steps. I mean, he was going step 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, he was really going down the line. And, and I said, listen, Bishop, I really want to share you my heart. And I was telling him basically what I'm telling you. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time. I think it's time for me to retire. Close the church up. That's it. I'm at peace. I'm actually getting some rest now, and I think that's it. Okay. And he laughed a little bit, and um, he said, Pastor, oh no. He said, nope. And the way he said it was like this, and this is how I took it. It was like, it's not time. Because if you retire now, you're going to let God down. You're going to let the ministry down. You're going to let the jurisdiction down. You're going to let your family down. You're going to let the community down. It's like, it is not time. No, it's not time right now. Because the funny part is that he laughed at first. And then he hit me with those words. And I can hear those words today. And it was like, it rings in my spirit. And it was like, wow. And I was like, okay, Bishop. I said, but in my mind, I was thinking like, did you just, hear me? And I'm at peace. I was like, I feel good, I love it. And it was like, nope. He said, it is not time. And he kept talking like, that is a done thing now. You're not retiring. So, but the awesome part about it too is not, I don't even know what my family was knowing, but they were ministering to me through this. I'm talking about from the time we closed the physical building to even today. And it was like they were ministering. My son, my oldest son, David, one day I was out in the garage and I was building some stuff. I think I was building some shelves. Again, one of my projects. And Dave, he just like poured out his heart to me about touching people's lives, the lives of the forgotten. And it was like, man, it was powerful what he was saying. And he talking about middle-aged males, those who have not accomplished their task in life. It was like, they made some bad choices in life, and now they're hurting and they're going through. And he's explained it to me how he wants to do a ministry to touch their lives. He said, because he said, Dad, it was like they're the forgotten. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, "What? See, he said society looks at a male, especially a African American male, when they get to a certain age, they should have accomplished a lot of things." And he said, and when they have not accomplished those things, what they should have accomplished in life, I'm talking about, financially, spiritually, marital wise, if they haven't accomplished it, it's like, people just forget them. And he said he believed God put in his place to his spirit to minister to those individuals, to give them like a second chance. My son is telling me, I'm like, wow, that's powerful, like, because in my heart, I felt that as well. But again, I'm trying to override that because I'm like, man, it's time for me to retire. So time goes on. And then my daughter, she's like, I was like, what are you doing? She's buying stuff on Amazon. She said, well, I'm thinking on how to minister to the children through Zoom by different projects and things. I'm like, she put money into this thing. I'm like, okay, that's beautiful. That's a wonderful thing. But in my mind, I'm like, and I didn't tell her, I'm like, man, I'm about to retire. And then time go on, and my wife, man, she said something that man, it hit me in the gut. She's like, I really miss church. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, I'm going to share my heart to her that I'm about to retire. And then here it is, my youngest son, just recently. Actually, it was yesterday, a day before yesterday. He was like, I picked him up from the airport. He's like, Dad, I'm gonna do this video. I'm like, okay, good. I like to do some videos too. We can do something together. But he's telling me about this video he's about to do, and it's dealing with, you know, helping those who make wrong choices. I'm like, I'm getting this thing in my heart again about ministry because my whole thing is restoration. That's the ministry that got placed into my spirit, to help those who make wrong mistakes, or to help those to not make wrong mistakes. It's all in my heart. I'm like, man, everybody. I'm like, maybe I should start writing it on the wall and pictures. Pastor Dave is about to retire. Like wow. And then here it is, and I'm doing something, and he's like, without me even knowing it, because I didn't see it at first, God has been restoring me. Wow. Okay. Because let me tell you something, man. You're doing ministry for a long time, it can burn you out. Even though if you enjoy it with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, and I do, and I love helping people, but at times, you can you absorb, you put so much into people, and yeah, a lot of times they can let you down, but at the same time, you're not doing it. You're doing it for God's purpose. So, but in doing all that, I'm talking about, because again, when I do something, I put my whole heart in it. I put all of me, my substance, my money and time, and I put it all into it. And no regrets. And I do that, but sometimes, you can get burnt out. And I tell you, when we closed up in March, it took it took, man, probably took about 5 months to recover, and not knowing that I was tired because I was on autopilot. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I didn't realize. I didn't realize I was that exhausted by doing ministry, and ministry shouldn't be that way. But at the same time, some things that I picked up to do ministry that should have been other people in ministry doing it. But I love helping people, love changing lives. So I'm all in this thing. Okay, so it took a long time for me to recover, and again I was like, man, it's time for me to retire. But at the same time, let me tell you something, man. God has been restoring me. I'm more healthier than I've ever been healthy. My mental state is even better. Financially, I'm blessed. Spiritually, I'm blessed. And man, God has just been ministering to me such a great way. I mean, it's just, and this is what's making me so appreciative of Christmas, because God looked upon me as well. He looked upon the world, looked upon you, and to give all of us a fresh start, a new beginning. And let me tell you something. Um, I've been really, really talking to God. No, it's not time for me to retire, but it's time to do ministry in a different way. It's time to reach out differently. Man, it's been a lot of people on my job that who needed a step up or a second chance or a way to do. And I mean, just to the point of just sharing them how to change their lives, and how to do resumes, how to advance. And I've been helping a lot of people like that lately. I know it's been a little while now, but seeing the end results of when someone who's like hungry to get more money on their job, or to advance their career, to get the raise, to get the promotion, and wow, God will direct them to me to help them. And I thank God to give me wisdom and help me that I can help them. I mean, it really changed some people's lives. And I prayed for that, and God answered me. So here is now, and I'm praying now as to God give me more understanding and revelation on how I can really minister. Because I don't want to go back to church doing the norm. I just don't. I believe it's something more greater and something better that God wants to do in my life, as well as the ministry, and really, really impact people's lives, their lifestyle, where they're at now, that the relationships are like so much better. Their health is so much better. Their lifestyle is so much better. Their attitude is so much better. Talking about really taking an individual who's hurting and going through pain and suffering, and then the ministry can actually not just speak it, but walk them through the process, and we have the resources to actually change someone's life. Let me tell you something, and this has been on my heart for a long time, that the ministry has a store for those who don't have the means or the money to buy groceries. Man, we got a store that they go in and they can pay us later. I'm talking about, and then taking an individual who may have lost everything, and we can pull them into the ministry, give them, put them in housing, and I mean, literally step by step, teach them how to, get their finances together, show them how to budget, and begin to help them to grow, that they can get back on their 2 feet, them and their family, and live a successful life. Some people on drugs and alcohol, they come into the ministry, and we can work with them that they're no longer dependent on drugs and alcohol or substance abuse, but we change their lives to the point, man, that they're free from that. To me, see, that's ministry. And part of the ministry is teaching people how to learn a skill: electrical, mechanical, plumbing, carpentry, whatever it might be. And not just in that, but if they're to the point, they want to be some type of administrator, we can teach them those precepts, and teach them those techniques. For those who want to start their own business, and we got a whole wing that's going to teach you how to start your own business, and not just start it, but be successful. So, I say all that to say this, to reflect back to 2020. Man, God really has had his hand on me and the ministry itself. But sometimes because the state of our mind and our heart, we don't see what God is doing. But, God is awesome. So, I say all that to say this. And man, I'm going to really celebrate Christmas this year because it's very special. It's very special to me. And I pray and hope that it's very special to you, that God has taken us through even, some of our weakness, some of our misunderstanding, some of our, personal struggles. God has really taken us through. And I believe that 2021 is going to be even better for so many of us. And listen, all you who is connected to the ministry, it's going to be different. I really believe it's going to be like really different, but it's a good different, meaning that we be able to touch even more lives outwardly. Sure, all the members would be taken care of. Don't get me wrong, man. We always work on home first. All the members and people that's connected to the ministry, but even extending beyond that, the four walls. But we'll have something. I don't know, whatever God's going to do. I know He's going to do something great. For a different facility. I don't know what He's doing, but God has kept us through the years, and He'll keep us as we move forward. So I'm looking forward to 2021. And I just wanted to share with you, my heart, and listen, God is good. Even though you might be struggling right now, I mean, in whatever area, financially, spiritually, physically, relationship-wise, career-wise, business-wise, even though you might be struggling, take it from me. God has our back. And God will protect us. He will guide us. And look forward to 2021. I'm serious. I'm not done. I'm sure you're not done. It's going to be greater events. But even let me say this, and I didn't say it, but I definitely have to say it before I close out. When Bishop Allen passed, that was like another blow for me. And it was kind of like, you know what? I am done. I'm finished. I'm ready to retire. Because it was something. It's something that God has done tremendously for me. He has placed some powerful leaders in my life. I've learned from them. It was like I've learned so much. From I'm starting off with Bishop Bishop Brooks. I'm gonna go be even before that. Pastor Evans, on the east side of Detroit. I didn't go to church, but I went in there just to see what was going on. And the pastor there, he impacted my life. Just some wisdom that he gave me, and then from there, following my wife to the ministry that she was going to, Pastor Bully. And one thing I learned from Pastor Bully was this. Be on time. Okay, that was tremendous. So with that, it moved to the point of it was Bishop Knight, and what Bishop Knight was, he taught me about the power of the word. He broke that word down. I was like, wow, that's impactful. He's the one who made me to actually go to Bible college, and I went to Bible college. From there, I met Pastor Burns. You talking about wisdom, and Dean Scott. They laid out that wisdom to me. It's like from learning from Bishop Knight how to interpret his word, to going to college and how to impact me with God's word on that. It was like powerful. So from there, I was up under Bishop Brooks. Okay, actually a little before that, when I was serving as as a youth pastor up under Pastor Knight. Before he came a bishop. I was up under Bishop Brooks. But here's something that Bishop Brooks taught me, because we had a one-on-one conversation one time. He talked about loyalty, being loyal. It was one year he had the highest votes as a bishop. He had the highest votes. It was powerful. And I think he was either the first assistant or second assistant. I can't remember what it was, but he said, I would never override my leader. And that was powerful. He said, because I'm loyal. And that really taught me a lot. As a young person growing up in the church, he told me that, and I never forgot that. So that was being loyal. And then it moved up, it was Bishop Knight, he became the bishop at that time. So, I followed him. And then I ended up with, when Bishop Knight passed, I was up under Bishop Allen. And the thing I learned from Bishop Allen was compassion and like be more to the point of helping people. Okay, and be humble. I don't care how great you might get or be, be humble. Hold on 1 minute. My son making all this noise and I'm
sorry, man.
And he's all in my camera.
Yeah.
I mean, he's making all that noise, so I'm learning patience. So listen, man, I'm gonna close out. So again, I just wanted to reflect. I just wanted to reflect a little bit about 2020, even with all these challenges. Man, we win, and hopefully, by now, we don't lose, we win. So I'm looking forward to 2021. We win. Yeah, we win in 2020. We win in 2021. Greater. It's going to be even greater, much better. And I look at it as 2021 again as to prepare for whatever God has for us. We prepare. For me, it was like, I've been restored. I'm being restored. I'm getting more rest, getting more healthier. I was really never, for a long time, growing up as a child, I was always sick. But when I got into my teens, man, I've never really been sick, even to this point now. Hardly nothing. Thank God I'm not taking any medicine, anything like that. I'm completely healed and I don't get sick. So I'm looking forward to even being healthier in 2021 and beyond. So listen, pray for me as I pray for you. If I don't get a chance, maybe I'll say a couple of things on Wednesday. So Merry Christmas. If I don't see you then, hopefully I will this Wednesday. I'm praying for you for a successful 2021. All right. God bless all of you. Merry Christmas.
Oh, it's Christmas time. Listen, it's a time of giving the love of Christ to all men. It's time for peaceful expression. This special time of the year, Christmas, y'all. Merry Christmas. Everything's alright. Everything's alright. I'm so glad it's Christmas. Oh, it's Christmas time.